right, we're going to look at shock and awe ahead. And the American troops used shock and awe to drive Saddam Hussein's armies out of Kuwait in the Desert Storm War. And some of you may remember that. The younger ones don't have any idea what I'm talking about. But God has told us that he's planning a galactic shock and awe set of events for planet Earth in the end times. And it's almost, when you read through it, it's almost too mind-stretching to really focus on and grasp and comprehend, and it's like, woo, you know, like fireworks on steroids sort of thing. Jesus said it this way in Matthew 24:21. He said, then there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. This is the worst time there'll ever be, the great tribulation. Much worse than World War II, which is so far the worst tribulation we've ever had. Verse 22, unless those days should be shortened, no flesh would be saved alive. The end of humans on planet Earth would occur if Jesus didn't shorten it down, if Jesus didn't show up and say, okay, I'm taking control of planet Earth. Jesus was adding to the prophet Daniel's writings in Daniel 12:1. At that time there should be a time of trouble, similar to what Jesus said, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that time. So in one sense, Jesus is building on what he already inspired Daniel to write, many, many years before. So Daniel 11:40 through 45 shows the news events that we're going to be reading in the future, in the period leading up to the Great Tribulation. God and Jesus are expecting 4 gigantic shock and awe world events to set the stage for the beginning of the Satan-driven beast power tribulation. All right? And that's coming out of Europe. We've studied that before. These 4 are described in the prelude trumpets in Revelation chapter 8. Verse 7 says, the first angel sounded, and hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were thrown to the earth, and a third of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. And it's like, what on earth is that? Where is that? How does that happen? There's not enough information in that one verse. So most people go, Read the next verse. Okay, second in verse 8. Second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain burning with fire thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood. All right, this hasn't happened quite this way when you put all 3 things together. A third of the sea became blood, a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. So all 3 things happened at one time in this sea situation. Okay, we're in modern times and we have many ships in the sea, so at least we know this has something to do with a bunch of ships, right? So we got a little more to work with. Third one says the living, let's see, verse 10, the third angel sounded, a great star fell from heaven burning like a torch and fell on a third of the rivers and the springs of water, and many men died because the waters were made bitter. And then we go to angel number 4. So these 4 things set the stage for the tribulation. The 4th angel, and the third of the sun was struck, and the third of the moon, and a third of the stars, and a third of them were darkened, and a third of the day did not shine, and likewise the night. And again, it's like, what on earth is this? What is going on here? But these are all cataclysmic, gigantic events that when they hit the newspaper, they won't read like he wrote it, because he wrote a description. They'll read like this place on Earth, or this other place, or Greenland, and whatever. It'll be in the news. It'll give you details. So these 4 shock and awe events are provided through human activity. Now, why do I say that? Because Satan comes at trumpet number 5. And for many, many years I read through Revelation, I read through the trumpets, and I never quite caught this one verse we're going to look at. God describes the next 3 trumpets as woes or mega shock and awe events. Right? So the first 4 trumpets are not woes. If you're in the midst of the event, it's going to be a woe for you. right? But God doesn't consider them woe category, until he gets to trumpet 5 and 6 and then 7. So Revelation 8:13, the angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, because of the remaining blasts of the trumpets of the 3 angels that are about to sound. That's trumpet 5, trumpet 6, trumpet 7. So woe number 1, or trumpet number 5, is where Satan gets fully operational. How do we know that? Revelation 9 verse 1. The 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven to the earth, and to him was given a key to the bottomless pit. Now the bottomless pit is a place of restraint where God locks away Satan, the devil. And how do we know that? Well, because we're told in Revelation 20 verse 3, after the battle of Armageddon is over, Satan is locked back up in the bottomless pit. And it says in verse 3, and he cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal on him so that he could deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years were finished. But after that he must be released a little while. So Satan's going to prison. We're going to have some justice at last, right? And he's going to be locked up in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. But back to where we were, he comes in trumpet number 5. He's released. The key is taken down to the bottomless pit. It's unlocked, and Satan is allowed to have sway. Well, he has sway now, but this is Satan on steroids has sway, right? And it starts at the beginning of trumpet number 5, the first woe. And he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke arose like a great furnace. Then out of the smoke locusts came upon the earth, and to them was given power as scorpions. Every time I read the word scorpions, it reminds me of the time I got stung by a scorpion. It's a massive event. I never ever want to have another scorpion do that to me. And I have great respect when I walk through the house. I like to see the carpet ahead of me has no scorpion on it, right? Anyhow, and okay, so what's this scorpion thing all about? And again, it's somewhat confusing and a little difficult to understand. Verse 5, and they were not given authority to kill them, but to torment them for 5 months, like the torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man. I remember that for sure. Verse 6, in those days men will seek death and not find it. They will desire to die, and death will flee from them, which is a totally incomprehensible set of circumstances, because if you stop eating, you're going to die in less than 5 months. You're not going to make it for 5 months, right? Anyhow, so again, these are giant events. Right now, they're difficult to understand. Verse 11, and this is what I had read past so quickly so many times. And they had a king over them, the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew is Abaddon, and in the Greek is Apollyon. Satan is in charge of trumpet number 5. So therefore, he's not really in charge of trumpet number 1, 2, 3, and 4. He's in charge of number 5, right? And it's the first woe. So this is a mega steroid catastrophe kind of thing. So Satan and the beast power person bring the first of the 3 shock and awe woe events to humanity. And when they happen, because we read it and we've queried it and we've asked questions about it, when it happens on the newspaper and on the TV set, we're going to go, boom, that's trumpet number 5 right there. Right? When it happens, we'll know what it is. And the world who doesn't study this and doesn't think about this and doesn't question about the trumpets, doesn't even give any consideration to the trumpets, right? They just say the end of the world is the Battle of Armageddon, nice and simple, right? But there's a lot more to it. So the beast king person of Revelation will become a superhuman, right? We see superhumans in the movies and on TV, and I used to really like Superman. It was plain and simple. He could fly as long as there was no kryptonite around. Everything was going to be great, right? And he had a cape, and he never got the cape caught in anything, which was good too, right? And then Lois couldn't recognize Clark Kent to be Superman because he had glasses on. As soon as he took the glasses off, he looked like Superman. Put the glasses back on, he looked like Clark Kent. She couldn't tell the difference. Amazing. Anyhow, it was a lot of fun. Okay, Revelation 13:2. The beast king, which I saw, was like a leopard, and the dragon, which is a code word for Satan, gave this beast king person his power. So what would it be like if human was given the power of Satan? It's like, boy, that is going to be something. And his throne and great authority. So God gives permission for Satan. God even sends somebody to unlock and let Satan out, right? And God says, okay, I'm letting you have permission to do this. You could give this power, make this superhuman being, this vile beast person. And let's see, using Satan's power and authority, the vile beast person king uses a 200 million man army to kill 1/3 of mankind. That's woe number 2. That's trumpet number 6. And when that happens, right, it's not going to go. You won't see it on the TV that says 200 million people, 200 million soldiers kill 1/3 of mankind. They won't write it that way. But God wrote it that way, so when it happens, you're going to know, woo, and 1/3 of mankind. If we're getting close to 8 billion, so but we're going to lose a bunch of people through the earlier trumpets. Say it was like 3 billion people left on Earth, right? 1/3 of that is 1 billion people dead. So your headline might read, 1 billion people killed in the war. 1 billion people. But God has said, you humans are in charge of planet Earth for 6,000 years, and I predict you're going to make a real mess of things. You're going to invent atomic weapons, right? They're capable of wiping out humanity on the planet, and then I'll have to come back and show you how to do it the right way, right? So Revelation 9:16, the number of the army of the horsemen is 200 million. And you could hear somebody on the news saying, well, how does he know that? Well, he gives the answer. And I heard the number of them. Somebody said in his ear, you see that army over there? Yeah, that's 200 million people. Okay, I'll write that down. Right, you didn't have to count it. How long would it take to count 200 million? Verse 18, these 3 plagues, 1/3 of mankind was killed by fire and smoke and brimstone, which came out of their mouths. Then after 3.5 years, God brings a huge planet-wide shock and awe event to crush the beast power empire. So it's like all the effort we went to kill off Hitler and his armies and subdue Japan, God is just going to go, here I am, let's do this. Let's get her done, and it's going to be over. God describes how he crushes his enemies in Zechariah chapter 14, which almost nobody refers to. I listen to Christian radio preachers. They don't know Zechariah exists, right? Chapter 14, it's all laid out. Verse 12, their flesh shall dissolve in their, while they stand on their feet, their eyes shall dissolve in their sockets, and their tongue shall dissolve in their mouths. And once I'd read that earlier on, I said, yep, God hit them with a nuke, right? Boom, just nuked their army. But next verse kind of throws some doubt on that, because the next verse says, a great panic from the Lord will be among them, all right? So they're in panic. Well, how do you get an army to get in panic? Well, you have this guy next to you and this guy next to you over here have their eyes dissolve in their sockets. That ought to create some panic, right? It's like, am I next? Anyhow, everyone will seize the hand of his neighbor, which in modern language makes no sense at all. What, you're going to hold hands? It means they start killing each other, right? And raise his hand against his neighbor. So it's friendly fire, and the enemies of Jesus Christ, they see some of their people, their eyes are dissolving. They get this great panic from the Lord. They start killing each other, and God eventually wipes them all out by one or two or three of these methods, right? And then it's all quiet because they're all dead. Trumpet number 7, or woe number 3, is God bringing shock and awe, woefulness to the beast's one world ruling government. And it's like I don't know how long this is going to take, but I'm going to guess a half an hour, a couple of hours, and it's just really quiet on the Western Front because they're all dead, right? And what, we're going to be there. If we're faithful till death, we get resurrected first. We get to meet Christ. We get to go with him, put his feet on the Mount of Olives. He sends out the 7 last plagues, right? And the last plague is the Battle of Armageddon. So wherever the Lord is, we'll be with him. So we're going to be there, right? Right now we're reading a description of it ahead of time, but then we'll be watching it from up above. We'll just be looking down on it, maybe actively involved in it. You know, throw a lightning bolt here or there or whatever. Revelation 17:12. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, and these are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. And I had this thought: if you have 10 kings, how many soldiers could each of these 10 kings put together? You know, if you're a king, you've got to have a couple of thousand soldiers, right? It's no good being a king if you don't have any soldiers, right? So 200 million divided by 10, you start to get smaller and smaller armies, and you put all these armies together, and you end up with 200 million man army, right? So verse 14, these will make war with the Lamb, Jesus, right? And that's cute too. It's like, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, what's your name? Lamb. The Lamb, okay, Jesus, the Lamb of God, the Passover Lamb of God. And the Lamb will overcome them. There's a British understatement if you've ever had one, right? The Lamb wins. Because he is Lord of Lords and King of Kings. God and Jesus want true believers to have good knowledge of the early 4 trumpets, and then the 2 tribulation trumpets, and then the final shock and awe trumpet, which is the best trumpet of all. Because it puts down rebellious human mankind and their idiocy and their insanity, and it stops everything in its tracks, and then we can, the next morning can be a new day dawning, and we're going to have peace. Peace and safety and abundance for everybody. No sex trafficking, no child abuse. It's going to be glorious for 1,000 years. So is that going to be a great day? That's going to be a great day. Right? We all need to what we need to do is believe the words of Jesus. That is the major error we have on planet Earth. Jesus says, let's see, we could take any number, but John 3:13 is a good one. No man has ascended to heaven. So they read that, and then they all conclude, yep, we all go to heaven when we die. Read it and believe it the way it's written. No, we don't want to believe it the way it's written. We want to believe it the way we like it. Right? And it's like, okay, so we'll see you in shock and awe time, right? Anyhow, Revelation 1:1, the revelation of, I love this, and it took me a while to catch on to this too. Revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servants the things that must shortly take place. So, first verse, first chapter, the reason I'm writing the book of Revelation is to show you, my servants, things that are going to happen ahead of time. I'm going to let you know. Right? Of which the 7 trumpets are a big part. Right? Last chapter, Revelation 22, verse 6, these words are faithful and true. The Lord God of the holy prophets sent his angel to show his servants the things that must shortly take place. So God has gone to a great deal of effort to show us things that are going to happen. Right? God wants his people mentally prepared for the 7 trumpet countdown to the shock and awe of the battle of Armageddon.